Hi guys, if you're new here, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Intentional Favor and I'm currently an international student running my master's program in social work at the University of Chester here in the United Kingdom. And on this channel, I share my life experiences on issues pertaining to faith, lifestyle, but mostly I share experiences of studying abroad in the UK as an international student. So please, if you'd like to join this family, you are more than welcome to do so. Just hit the red subscribe button below. Also hit notification bell. By doing that, you will not miss out of any of my videos. And to you, my returning subscribers, you know I love you, right? Thank you so much for coming back. So guys, this is a continuation of the social work series that I started on this channel last week, and in today's video we'll be talking about health and social care experiences. I've said it so many times on this channel that one of the entry requirements for social work, be it at master's level or undergraduate level, is experience in health and social care. It's non-negotiable. Yeah, it is a must. It's a prerequisite. No university will give you admission without an evidence of experience in health and social care. I remember saying it in most of my videos, even the video where I talked about the eligible courses for masters in social work in the UK. Yes, I kept saying it. Most of my friends that I called in that particular video, they kept talking about experience in health and social care. So the question is this: what are these experiences? What experience constitutes health and social care? Yeah, so that's what we'll be talking about in this particular video. And in this video, I'll be so practical. I'll let you know what these experiences are, how to gain them, and of course, from this video, you will know if you've already got these experiences, because it's not really far-fetched. Believe me, it's not far-fetched. I would like to say at this point that these experiences that we are talking about can be employment experience, it can be voluntary experience, and it can be personal experience in health and social care setting. So most times when people hear experience in health and social care, or even anything experience, sometimes the first thing that comes to people's mind is employment experience. No, when you talk about experience, it must not be in employment setting. I mean, when you are employed and you are being paid for your job. No, you can gather experiences even from voluntary work. That's why most times I've been encouraging people on this channel and people that just send me DMs that try as much as possible to be a volunteer. Voluntary work must not be full-time, of course. It can be weekend, it can be 2 times a week, like 2 days in a week. It can be few hours, even if it's in a day or something. All of them, they all count, because they are relevant experiences that can help improve your CV. So it can be personal also. So that personal experience is that not necessarily a paid experience, not necessarily a voluntary work, but the one that you gathered as a person, you know, your life generally, because of course life is full of experiences. So experience in health and social care, one of the ways that you can gather experience in health and social care is actually a working in social welfare. Yeah, be it an organization, be it an agency. By social welfare, I mean, I think some states, for instance, if I'm to use my country as an example, I've had some states that they have Ministry of Women and Social Development, Ministry of Women and Social Welfare, Ministry of this social welfare, and all of that. So when you work in that particular setting, if you've watched my last video, the first video on this series, where I talked about what social work is, you find out that with social work, we deal with people. So this is actually one important thing that you need to have at the back of your mind when thinking of experience in health and social care. We deal with people, we deal with human beings, okay? So most of these experiences are the works that you do when it comes to like working direct, having direct work with people. That is what will give you this experience, because if you've not seen that video, I really encourage you, check it out. It will really help you to understand what social work is, and the fact that people at the center of social work practice is people, it's individuals, okay? So when you know that you do work maybe in those organizations or in those settings or those departments, depending on where you are, and then it involves direct work with people. People come, either you give them advice or you talk to them or do some processes regarding whatever it is, because I'm saying this generally because I know that different countries, they have different maybe social welfare agency or settings, but generally any work that involves direct work with people actually will give you that experience, especially when it is in a social welfare agency or department. Another way you can get health and social care experiences is through community or group group work. Yes, community or group work. This is actually not far-fetched. I'll give you an example. If you're in Nigeria, for instance, and you've undergone your undergraduate studies or HND, you find out that at the end of the day, you go for youth service, right? Now, your NYSC experience, if you're in Nigeria, can actually help you to gain this experience. You know what I mean? So if you've been involved in CDS, as they call it, you find out that it's actually a community work, all right? So if you've been involved in any of that, and of course, rural rugged, for instance, or maybe in your fellowship as an undergraduate, you involve in, of course, I know it's NYSC that they call it rural rugged, anything that has to do with community development, maybe program outreaches, you go for village evangelism. If you have actually undergone all of these, let me use the rural rugged or village outreach for example, you find out that in as much as you go there probably as a Christian, you preach the word of God to them, but much more beyond that, you also find a way to develop them, right? I know for my fellowship, for instance, while I was in Nigeria, we give them clothes, okay? We give them clothes. Sometimes we educate them on healthy lifestyle, feeding, drinking water, probably, and all of that. All those are community services. They are community service. So if you have that experience, it also counts as experience in health and social care. So anything, maybe you've done some community awareness program whereby a group of people, they go into a community to educate them, to teach them, to expose them. Any work that has to do with community and community development, they all count as experience in health and social care. Of course, I know some people, they have some programs like outreaches about community feeding, feed the community or feed the nation, where they go to villages and they work with people, give them food, give them health, or like for instance the rural rugged I was talking about earlier. You find out that sometimes we go with medical students, we give them health, like free health checkup and all of those stuffs. They all count as experience in health and social care. So at this point, I will group it generally, any work that has to do with particular group of service user. Now I'll be using service user often, probably going on in this particular series. By service user, another name you can maybe that will help you to understand what I mean by service user is client. If you know the way that probably you say this is my client in social work setting, or even here in the UK generally, sometimes we call them service user. Of course, there are some debates about that, calling people service user, but I'll be using that. But if you hear service user, maybe what will come to your mind is client. That is something that will help you to understand that. So if you are working with a particular group of service users, any work, like I said earlier, social work is about people. So any work that involves direct work with a particular group of service users, I'm going to debunk what I mean by particular group of service users shortly. So it also will give you experience in health and social care. So what are the service user groups I'm talking about? If you've done any work with children, yes, any work with children, for instance, children like orphans, maybe in a motherless, maybe in an orphanage, for instance, any work that you have done with them, it also counts as experience in health and social care. Remember, I said it must not be paid, it can be voluntary. So as I'm saying this, I want to believe that you'll be able to be grabbing where you can go ahead and do voluntary work. So you can volunteer in a motherless baby home, in an orphanage home. Yes, you can volunteer. Have direct work with the children, because all these are the things that will help you gain skills, okay? At the center of social work is relationship building. We said that relationship is key in social work practice. So you find that there is no way you'll be able to work with people that you won't establish a working relationship with them. All these are the skills that you get when you have that skill of relationship building, and as a person you are empathetic, you have empathy for people, you put yourself in people's shoes. It's also one of the things that will help you as a social worker, and one of the skills that you need as a social worker, being empathetic. So you gather so many skills when you have direct work with children. You are able to come down to their level, you meet their needs, you are able to answer their questions or gather information from them. So when you are even doing all this voluntary work or all these experiences, or when you'll be talking about them in your application, make sure that you don't just say I have volunteered in an orphanage home. That's not enough. I'll talk more about this later after highlighting these experiences. So when you work with children, be it in an orphanage home, children on the streets, you do education, you do anything for them, all of them, they count. Another service user group can be older people. So if you work in any setting that involves older people, I know it might not be common in Africa, but let me use, for instance, if you have anywhere that is common in the UK where they have old people's home. Of course, there is where you have people that are carers, healthcare assistants, okay? In this case, of course, if you've not heard about being a carer or healthcare assistant, you must be new on this channel, or you've not seen my my videos where I talked about my experience of working in the UK as a healthcare assistant. Yeah, you really need to see that video. So if you work in those settings that you work with old people, mamas and papas, of course, when you want to work with people and have a direct work with them, it will require so many skills for you to be able to do this, right? So when you have any work at all, be it in a voluntary organization that deals with working with older people or a paid job that you worked with older people, all of them, they count as experience in health and social care. Another service user group can be disabled people that are disabled, people that have one physical impairment or the other, working with them, maybe working with children with special needs. Yes, that is a very good experience. So for instance, if you studied special education and you've been teaching in a special needs school, or you're working with children with special needs, there's no way you'll be working with children with special needs that you won't gain experiences. There's no way you'll be working with people that are disabled that you won't gather some experiences that will help you or that will be relevant to social work and your application to study social work at the university. So disabled people, children with special needs, there's another service user group that if you have any work, voluntary, paid or personal, working with them, it also serves as experience in health and social care. Another service user group is also people with mental health needs. So if you work with people with mental health needs, mind you, mental health needs is not just people that have lost their mind. No, that's not what mental health needs cover. No, that's not what it covers. It covers a lot of things. So if you work with people that are depressed, people that have so many mental health diagnoses, schizophrenia, personality disorder, eating disorder, so many disorders, all those personality disorders, okay, if you've worked with them, that's another service user group. So any work that involves working with them, it also counts as experience in health and social care. And of course, I've mentioned children earlier, but any work that involves young people or youths is also experience in health and social care. I think I'm really taking my time to explain all this, but I'm doing this because even when I do this, people will still come and ask me questions. I'll be like, did you really listen to this video? That's why I'm really taking my time to explain this, so that it will be so detailed and you have a general understanding of what health and social care experiences can be, all right? So any work that involves youth, I know for instance of an organization in Nigeria, I hope I'm correct, that is called FEM. I hope I'm correct. They work with children, they go to schools, all those things, they count as experience in health and social care. Yeah, so this one now is social care, all right? So any work that has to do with youth, maybe you go to school, you give them sensitization programs, you educate them and all of that, sex education, this and that, you just create awareness. Any work, probably you as a person, of course, it has, like I said, it doesn't have to be employed, it doesn't have to be voluntary, it can be personal experience. Maybe you are the self-employer now, or the self-employer, yeah, as the case may be. You voluntarily go to schools and educate children, you voluntarily go to communities and enlighten them, do some things for them. They all count as experience in health and social care. These experiences are not far-fetched. There are things that you do, especially if you are coming from Africa. There are things that you do day to day, but it's very, very important that you don't just talk about having these experiences, but making sure that you talk about the skills that you gained from them. Prison services is another experience that can count as health and social care. Yes, be it working with juveniles, not necessarily adult prisoners. Even when you are working with juveniles, when you are working with people on probation, yes, probation services, if you've worked with them, of course, all these involve working with people. So prison services, probation offices, services, working with juveniles, they all count as experience in health and social care. Another thing that maybe I'll categorize or call them human rights works or advocacy roles. Yes, they are very, very important, and they're also relevant to health and social care experience. So if you've done some work advocacy roles, or you're a human rights fighter, you know, you do some work, or you belong to an organization that work or that fight against early marriage, child marriage, you do all of those things, or even go to communities and sensitize them against early marriage. Maybe you are one of the advocates, or you fight against female genital mutilation, FGM, very, very important. So all of these works, maybe you are a human rights fighter, you fight against or you advocate for widows who are being oppressed by their late husbands, in-laws, and all of that. You fight for children, people that are abused, like you fight against domestic violence, domestic abuse, you fight against sexual abuse, and you've worked or you do some work with people that are victims of rape, fighting against rape and working with victims of rape, victims of sexual abuse, victims of domestic violence and domestic abuse. If you work with all of those things, or you have not just having the passion, of course, we know we are talking about experience now. You have experience working or doing all of those stuff. All of these, guys, they count as experience in health and social care. It's that simple to get. Yeah, so basically, advocacy roles, human rights fighting against any form of discrimination, fighting against any form of oppression. If you do all of these, of course, you are gaining experience. You are working with people, especially not just that, oh, you come and identify yourself that I'm a human rights fighter. No, it's not enough identifying that you're a human rights fighter. What have you done? Have you worked with people? Because if you say that you're a human rights fighter or you've done some things, it might detect my main passion. Oh, you have passion to see people live well. Oh, that's a bonus. Of course, as a prospective social work student or applicant now, it's very, very important. But you need to give examples of what you have done and what you have done with people. So you fight against discrimination, you fight against oppression, you work with vulnerable people, you work with vulnerable people, all these widows in the village, in the communities. You know, sometimes people ask me, I'm a lawyer, blah blah blah. Sometimes I feel like, depending on maybe if you're law, because I know there is one aspect of law that is about properties and all. I think if that is it, of course, no, we're not talking about it. But if your law, like your experience in law, is about advocating for the poor, the oppressed, the marginalized, giving them advice, yes, giving legal advice to people, especially when it comes to lives, people now, not all those real estate lawyers and all of that, no. But I think lawyers, they have an upper hand, that even as a lawyer, if you've practiced, and of course your firm, you people are into legal advice, helping people, widows, and all those people that are oppressed, that are facing any form of discrimination and all of that, you help them to gather their rights, to gain their rights, or fight for their freedom and all of that. All of these serve as experience in health and social care. Counseling services. Yes, counseling services, they also, or education programs. I kept talking about so many education programs you can do, probably community outreach or sensitization. They all serve as health and social care experiences too. Yes. So if you give counseling, you counsel people. Of course, as a counselor, you should be able to build relationship for them to trust you, to open up to you. When you are counseling people, you have to, have that empathy, to put yourself in their shoes. That way you understand them, you give them advice, you follow up. Of course, these are the things that are needed for social work, right? You see that you are gaining skills, you are gaining the relevant experiences that can actually help you to qualify to get admission into social work. So if you do counseling services, any form of counseling, general counseling, be it sex education to people, maybe you go to schools and you do all of that, they all count experience in health and social care. And of course, I think most of the examples I've been given are social care, because I think those are the easiest to get. Of course, health is also there, okay? So at this point, I'm going to be talking about nursing experience. Yes, so if you have nursing experience, of course, I know that someone that is a nurse, for instance, wouldn't be bothered coming to study social work for obvious reasons, except the person dread blood or thinks that this medical thing is not for me. Okay, yeah, probably that is why somebody will want to leave nursing and come into social work, for instance, because we know that nursing also as a profession is in high demand in the UK and is lucrative, although the cash and all of that too. Okay, right. So having said that, it doesn't mean that you have to be a registered nurse. If your experience in nursing is as an auxiliary nurse, good, you have the experience, because as a nurse, you work with people. Nurses are those that actually have more direct work that you can say is social care related when it comes to working with patients. Yes, they are the ones that work with them and all of that. So if you have experience as a nurse, not a registered nurse necessarily, even as an auxiliary nurse, all that matters, as you've seen in all these I've been mentioning, is having direct work with people. And when you are doing that, you need skills in doing that. When you are doing that, also your passion for social work is also involved. Even if you are working probably in hospice, maybe you are working with people like maybe maybe I don't know if there are organizations like that in Nigeria for hospice care, maybe those that have cancer or those that have terminal diseases that of course they are just in the end of their life. Of course, if you work with all those people, end of life and all of that, they all count as experience in health and social care. Probably the last I'll mention now is being a domestic staff, experience in domestic work. Yes, experience in domestic work. Here being a carer, and of course you can also attach this to personal experience. Here being a carer is a paid job. Being a carer is that you go to people's home, you nurse them, you provide for them, or even in a nursing home, you bathe them, you do all this. Of course, when we are working with people, it's not easy to work with old mamas or people that are diagnosed with dementia or some other mental health issues. Sometimes it takes a lot of skills to be able to deal with them, because remember, they don't operate on the same level as you. And of course, these are people that even social workers work with. All right, yeah. So for instance, let me now use of course a paid carer, because it's not common in Africa, in case you are coming from Africa. But if you are a nanny, sometimes they call us, some people, maybe they are abroad and their parents are old and they are in the village. They employ some people to take care of their old parents. So you go there, you cook for them, you work with them, you watch television with them, you chat with them, keep them company so that they won't be bored. Yes, that's the experience. Yes, that's actually what healthcare assistants, some of them do here. That is what supported living, people that work as support workers, as I'm doing now, that is what we do. We don't give them personal care, but we are there to support them, do their routines, and also encourage them to do some activities. It requires loads of skills. So if you are a nanny, not necessarily a babysitter. When I say babysitter, not necessarily baby, like 1 month, 2 months, and all of that. No, maybe a group of children that maybe you teach them lesson or you work with them, you keep them company. When you work with children, they will ask you questions. And here, when you qualify as a social worker, you'll be working with children. You need to be able to build that relationship and trust with them for them to open up and tell you things. Okay, so they all count experience. So as a domestic staff, but remember, I think I'm coming to the end of this video now. Remember, very, very important, what I'm about to say now, I gave a clue about it earlier. Please, when it comes to applying for masters in social work or bachelor's degree in social work in the UK, all these experiences are very, very important. Like I said, they are non-negotiable. They are prerequisites before they can even consider your application. However, it's not enough having all these, doing all these. It requires being able, like you stand a better chance of being offered admission when you are able to excellence, very important, you are able to excellently and skillfully present these skills and experiences and all this work you have done in your personal statement and in your application, as well as your interview. Very, very, very important. Okay, so you've listened to this, I have done this, you are checking there, oh, that means I have experience in health and social care. It's not enough. Please, before someone you will say, oh, I have this experience, then you go ahead and just apply. I don't know what your application, how you will do your application, and that is it. You need to make sure that your application is on point. Make sure that you outline these skills, these experiences. Make sure you outline them in a brilliant way. Your personal statement is one of the things that they consider during your application. Okay, so make sure that your personal statement incorporates all these in it, of course, in a very smart and excellent way. Not just talking about it, your personal statement, you should not go and tell them all you have done in your entire life there. No. So there are skills, of course, your personal statement should be on point. So my point exactly is this, guys. Make sure that you outline these experiences in a very brilliant way in your personal statements and in your general application. Very, very important. I have a video on this channel where I talked about how to write personal statements. That video has helped so many people write their personal statement. I'll leave the link here. Make sure you check out that video. And the exciting or the interesting thing about that particular video is that I read some parts of my own personal statement in that video, highlighting some important things, of course, like even all I've said here that you should put down in your video, or in your personal statement. So it will do you good to watch that video. Please, a disclaimer: there was an offer I made on that particular video. That offer has closed very long time ago. Okay, so please just watch it, gain all the knowledge you need for your personal statement, and go ahead and write your personal statement, but just disregard the offer in that particular video because it has ended. Yeah, so it's very, very important. Make sure that you outline all this in a brilliant way in your personal statement. And you know what, guys, I wish you all the very best in your social work application, in your pursuit to study social work in the UK, and of course to become a social worker licensed in the United Kingdom. You have my best wishes on that. And I've come to the end of this video, guys. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Like this video, please. Have you done that? Like it. And if you've not subscribed to my channel, there are loads of content on this channel in the past and of course coming that you will enjoy. Do well to subscribe to my channel, and of course turn on your post notification bell so that you get notified each time I upload new videos. Alright, share this video with as many people you think that they will need it. Leave comments in the comment section. We can always continue this video in the comment section, and you can follow me on Instagram at intentional favor, and I'll be seeing you guys in my next video. Until then, guys, stay blessed, remain intentional, and take care of yourselves. Bye.